FlyOver State of Film was shot in front of a live studio audience.
So real quick,
Joe, fucking introduce this.
All
this
right,
movie that
so-
we're gonna talk about for like 2 minutes.
All right, yeah. So this movie I picked out of panic. I've actually always wanted to pick for FlyOver House of the Devil. It's Ty West's essentially first theatrical film, and his best film. I think this is the plot of this movie is very simple. A college student girl needs money and takes an ad from like the local like rec center in the college or wherever, and answers it for a babysitter. And the guy's like, "Hey, you're not actually need a babysitter. I just need to come over and sit at my house. There's no baby." She accepts, and
well, it's not a baby, it's an old lady, right?
It's an old lady. It's an old lady, but you never see the old lady. So it's essentially like she's like, "Okay, this is weird, but I need the money. I need to pay rent."
She kind of extorts him.
Mm-hmm. She does. I like it.
Okay, that was literally the only note that I have in my head. Would you have negotiated that extra 100? Like, you're in his house, you don't know what the fuck is happening. This is a very creepy dude, and you're like,
and
you know
Tom
what?
Noonan is creepy.
I love how Tom Noonan looks frail in this, but is still very scary.
Is he the new Tom Adkins?
We love our Toms, guys.
He's tying up Tom, yeah.
Yeah.
You should just do Last Action Hero.
Long story
and just
short,
put him up at the
this
top.
has to do with the satanic cult and ritual killing. Just take it away. So my initial thoughts were, this is a movie. Maybe I saw it at the right time, like early college, where
Came out in 2009. I don't remember when I
so I saw it probably in 2010. I went to college in 2010, 11. I probably saw it that year, and I was like,
That lead.
I love the style, like the cast. I did like the slow burn, especially like it's like only like an hour and 45 minutes. It's not like overly long too, so it feels long. I get it, guys. There's a lot of dead points, and I do want to put this one thing. Everyone,
Are you the babysitter?
everyone here except for me watched it on Tubi, and I think
I watched it on Amazon.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sorry. Watching
It was on Amazon?
Yeah.
Why
Oh,
the fuck did I
sure.
watch it on Tubi, Joe? You
Yeah,
said it
what
was
the
only
fuck,
on
So
Joe?
watching on Tubi with the commercial breaks really ruin I
Yes.
feel like interrupts its like the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, it was
Don't
free. Well,
blame-
I mean, free with subscription, so I watched it on Joe's Amazon, but I watched it on Amazon.
I bought the Blu-ray. Anyway, I don't know. It's I love
Well,
the.
let me
minimal
interrupt you, Joe.
Effects in it. Yeah,
That's what I do best. I remember watching this movie. I knew I had seen it before, but I had its ending mixed up with another slow burn horror movie that I watched around the same time. So, like, when we were getting to the end, I did actually get kind of surprised. I was like, oh, okay. This is what happens in this movie. Because I had kind of forgotten. So it was weird. I was like, I think I had watched this and another movie that I thought were both fine and not
Wow.
great, and I kind of like intermixed them. So it was good to go back and at least differentiate them, if nothing else. And going back, like this movie is, it's well made and it's well executed. He's definitely like deliberate. Like he did everything he's doing is on purpose, and I respect that from a directorial standpoint, he did a good job achieving what he was set out to do. I just don't think it works 100% for me. It's a little too slow. It's a little too much build up without. He needed like a couple more moments sprinkled in to just keep the tension up. Like you have the moment that TJ was talking about, where the girl who's not the babysitter, with Greta Gerwig, Oscar nominated director Greta Gerwig, gets her face blown off.
Fucking great scene though.
That is great, but then it's a really long time between that and the next scene that hits like that, which I would say is where she goes up to the door and we see on the other side of the door that there's been like a ritual killing of the family that probably lived in that house. She doesn't see it, but we see it. And I think it's like a long time between those two moments. And I feel like
there's a lot of pause.
There needed to be something in the middle there, more than her just walking around the house by herself a lot.
Yeah, and eating bad pizza. We don't care.
Yeah.
But is there a true payoff? Like, I have a few other things that I want to talk about the movie, but I really want to focus on the ending. Like, there is a lot of tension.
Should we talk about the body of the movie first at all? I mean, is there anything to say?
No.
Literally, she goes to the house and hangs out. There's just not a lot happening. That might
okay, fine. Let's not jump to the end. I'm gonna literally jump back to the beginning, and I fucking love that they say that it's based on true events, because I miss movies that are based on true events. I fucking love it. Yeah, but also I always have found that fascinating. And I've read a book on it, and I've listened to a few podcasts on it. The satanic panic that happened in the United States. I've always found it fascinating, and one could argue that that's like the foundation for the QAnon movement. Like, people just believing any fucking stupid shit that somebody tells you that is real. But it feels like if you're setting it in the satanic panic movement, there was so much meat on that fucking bone that they could have gnawed at, and as soon as I saw it, because I've never seen this movie, as soon as I saw it, it was like, oh, in the 80s there was a satanic panic. I got so excited because, like I said, like I
don't think that's another thing. They have that little title card at the beginning. Yes. They don't fully pay that off. I agree.
So I think the thing with this is, I think Ty West, the director, was too obsessed with making a movie just like from the 70s to add little more scares in there, right? Like, to me, like I said, like going back and we're revisiting this is usually just a Halloween around the time watch where I'm like in the fucking mindset of like these movies every.
And you're just churning them out. You're just burning through them at that point.
So
too.
I'm like,
I know how that is at Halloween. You can throw on a horror movie and you're like barely even watching. It's just like it's like a hum in the background.
But I actually wish I did pick, and you're talking about Satanic Panic, is the movie that came out last year, Satanic Panic, because that movie's a fucking blast.
I haven't seen that.
It's fun.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's before after T.I. did ATL.
Oh, this is before. Oh, okay. T.I. Oh.
Yeah.
ATL would be. This is after ATL.
ATL came out in like the early 2000s, didn't it? Yeah.
I hate. God damn it.
Here's something I was thinking about this movie.
He said no.
Is like, if it was authentically from the early 80s or late 70s, I probably would give it more of a pass. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, because it's not a matter of when it was set. Because let's say, like,
but I mean, if it was like made in that era, like it was authentically just a new movie that came out, like it's Suspiria, it came out in 83.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say, like Suspiria or like Black Christmas, both of them are very slow. Which actually, actually, let me backtrack. Joe, are you just like the horror guy of this fucking episode podcast? You have like Black Christmas, Urban Legend.
It feels like Urban Legend and Black Christmas, actually. Like mixed together.
It doesn't feel like Urban Legend. There's no authentic murderers.
There was a lot more meat. We'll be honest. There was a lot more meat on my last pick, which was The Devil's Candy.
And The Devil's Candy, yeah. You have like six fucking.
Yeah, you got a lot of horror movies on here, bro.
I like watching horror movies. I don't get a chance to watch them very often.
Like,
no, honestly, it's great.
Just took over the mantle of the horror guy on this fucking episode, podcast. I mean.
But I get like the conversation here, because I'm literally watching it going, Oh yeah, because remember last game we were just like, I have a game, and the game did not work. So I was like, House of the Devil.
So I didn't finish my point. Sorry. So you're saying that if it would have been made in the 70s, you would have given it more leeway.
I might
But
have.
like
I'm not
movies
sure of that, but I was thinking that while I was
Black
watching it.
Christmas and like Suspiria, just to mention two, have a lot of moments in between that grabs you, and you go like, all right, this suspense is worth it. It's worth it because it's building up to moments in between that are.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I love the ending of this movie. I mean, like, I really like the ending of this movie. To me, is a good. It's like fun, or what
Yeah, I do. I agree that it has a pretty solid ending.
It just.
Are we gonna spoil? Are we a spoiler podcast? Do we spoil endings?
Yeah, spoil
Have
this
we
shit.
never been one?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Spoilers in 3, 2.
You're more
1.
descriptive than me. Spoiler.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not even a spoiler, but like, eventually it turns out there is a witch. I'll tell you one thing I really appreciated is they impregnate her with the Antichrist or whatever they're doing, but they do it without a rape. I appreciate the lack of a rape scene. Thanks. I don't need it.
Have you guys
Did
ever
you use like
watched?
a turkey baster?
No, it was just like she just like drew some like shit in blood and waved her hand
just,
over
like,
it.
Vomited blood in her mouth.
Yeah,
like,
that
she
was
like blood. She poured blood from like a goat's head into her mouth,
Yes.
and then like
That-
drew
that
on her
thing
belly and like
was a
yeah.
joke.
But there was no
It's-
rape, is the point.
It's very cerebral.
It took me 2.5 days to watch. Though that's I'm gonna say that
I did doze during the end, even though it was the climax. I was already kind of like, well, yep.
Well, have you guys watched Ty West's other like his written directed horror movie?
No, but recently I saw him get murdered in Your Next.
Yeah. So
the guy actually isn't the guy that kills Greta also in Your Next, right? Am I misremembering?
all the
right?
same.
He's
crew.
like he's the fiance or whatever.
So that's a good movie.
I hadn't seen it. Like that was one that me and my wife just rewatched.
What I'm telling you
I
is,
thought I had seen it, and then when I was watching, I was like, I actually don't think I've seen this.
So good.
So what
It's
I'm
good.
telling you guys is, don't watch The Innkeepers.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's his other movie that got like really good reviews. It's an even slower burn, but it's with Sarah Paxton and Tim Healy, and they're in charge of like this New England hotel that's closing, and it's like that's haunted.
And they keep it.
It's not very good.
Well, he tried,
I'm sorry, Joe. You know what I really loved about this movie? The score. It's a good score, and also the intro is fucking fantastic. Like the music and the title
card
card.
it's the stage. Yeah.
Well, like I said, nothing. I
not-
definitely would not take away anything from his like the directorial skill that went in. Like he did what he set out to do. He perfectly recreated a movie from that era. Like he nailed it. The vibe, the look, everything. I just think for me, and it's like like we talked about, I like the ending. Like the way it plays out is cool and everything, but it just didn't quite get there. Not even quick enough. I don't care about the length or anything. It needed a few more breadcrumbs to keep me interested along the line.
Like I was watching the movie and I texted Joe screenshots of the Greta Gerwig moment, and I was like, all right, there's gonna be moments like this that are gonna keep me in the fucking groove of the movie.
But it's so
like,
long
oh my
to
god,
the
this
next
big size
one,
so bad. That's like the other twist of the movie. I guess.
It needs something after the Greta had blown off to keep you
Like I
interested.
said, it really reminded me of when I was looking for slow burns and I saw It Follows. It's very much the way I felt about It Follows. A great looking movie, cool soundtrack, like real vibe to it. But it needed like one more horror beat in the middle to kind of keep it moving.
What was the other movie that came out during It Follows?
Babadook?
That it was like a blind man.
Don't Breathe?
Don't Breathe. That one. I have to.
I love Don't Breathe. I think Don't Breathe is
rewatch
great.
that one.
Don't Breathe's one of those
Stephen
ones though
Lang,
where you're
very
just talking
scary.
about like where you're like, I probably won't never revisit it. That's one where I watched. I'm like, I'll never revisit Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch
Personally.
it again.
Good.
It's good. Speaking of turkey basters.
Oh yeah. Oh, the pubic hair. That's so nasty.
Ugh.
And it was so unnecessary. It didn't need to be there. Anything
No,
else?
add that little-
It's just yeah. Anything else about this movie, guys? TJ, Joe, Brian.
Ratings phase.
The only thing I'd like to add, and this is, I
gonna
think
say
it's still worth a watch for anyone listening. I think it's worth a watch, but I think if you're gonna watch it in the Halloween time frame mindset.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you're
when you're
like
really
in
vibing with
wintertime.
horror and you're like burning through a lot of horror, that's a good
I
idea.
think you'll appreciate it more. But especially revisiting it and having to talk about it, made me, I think, examine it a little more than I have actually ever examined it.
Oh well,
But,
that's what we do. We're very analytical here.
No, it's not a bad movie by any stretch, but it's truly how earlier in the podcast we said, do you ever just tell someone to watch a slow burn movie and they come back to you and say, hey, what happened? That's this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Let's go into the ratings.
phase.
TJ, where are you landing on?
I'll go 6.5 non-existent turkey basters out of 10.
Oh.
Just so it's fine. Wintertime. Put in your Halloween mix of like.
Yeah, I'll piggyback.
If you're gonna
on
do
that.
like a devil like cult night type of shit, and movies with the name devil in it, go throw it in.
Yeah, I'll
Why not?
piggyback on that. I'd give it about a 6 as well. Like just a solid, like I said, the direction is good. He's very capable, and it's got some interesting moments, and it does have a pretty decent ending. It just doesn't completely land. So I think 6 is perfect.
So he has an interesting career.
6 Zippo lighters that the guy.
Just to throw it more about Ty West in there, he has an interesting short career because he was a guy who was like making these movies and then like did Cabin Fever 2 and wanted to take his name off of it because they, it was so bad and like they like re-edited it all, blah blah blah. But then he kind of hasn't made a movie, and then he was really active on Twitter about UFC for a long time. Like he was just an MMA guy.
Like when I saw this name, I was like, it sounded so familiar. But then when I looked at his filmography, there was nothing that really jumped out at me as stuff that I was like that I'd watched a lot of. So it was weird.
He was an Eli Roth poll.
Oh,
basically,
okay,
like one of those like.
Well, that makes sense if he was hooked up with Cabin Fever.
Yeah, he was. And recently, all he's done is like the horror TV show director guy. Like an episode of The Exorcist when that was a TV show, or like. Either way, I think he's talented, and I hope he keeps making movies. But something happened with him in Hollywood because he also went silent on Twitter.
You might have fucked up like the guy from Boondock Saints.
Who knows?
I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 bad picks out of 10. Beautiful filmmaking, I'll agree. Horrible script. Joe.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 7.6 Greta Gerwig heads getting blown off.
Greta Gerwig faces removed.
Yeah. Because I do generally like this movie, but I think if you were to ask me like having to do this, I'd be like, oh, that's like a fucking like 8.3, and then like on the rewatch, it's about a 7.6. I think it stands in my.
And I think it's fine to be objective about a movie like this. Like you can know that it's a 7, but still like it as an 8. You know what I mean? Like you can like it enough, but no, I think that's fine. I think that's what people don't like. People get all mad about shit on dealing with these fucking Snyder boys on Twitter is like you can understand that a movie has flaws and still like it. Don't you guys get that? You don't have to worship at the altar of a movie.
A lot of shitty movies.
I think if I were going to recommend,
are flat out bad.
Guys, I think if I were going to recommend like this, you know what I'm going to say to this? I think if I were going to recommend a movie like this to someone, I'd rather recommend Black Christmas or like The Changeling.